Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me, Benjamin Fulford Update Daily for today's May 3, 2022. FRB fenced off and Deutsche Bank raided in move to strangle KM funding. The Global Alliance Against the Satanic Khazarian Mafia scored major victories last week on multiple fronts. Most importantly, the Federal Reserve Board building in Washington, D.C. has been fenced off, while Deutsche Bank was raided by German police. This has cut off the KM's ability to launder fiat funny money into the real economy via the stock and bond markets, MI6 sources say. That is why Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, Tesla and Amazon share prices are down respectively 11, 22, 16, 29 and 30% from their peaks. If the Khazarian Mafia loses the ability to create money out of nothing in order to finance their plan to enslave humanity, then it really is game over for them. Without money, they cannot pay for their goons, celebrities and actors pretending to be politicians. However, we must not be complacent and need to remember exactly what we are fighting for. These people have repeatedly stated their goal is to kill most humans and domesticate the rest. To get a perspective on this, compare the T-Rex to its descendant, a domesticated chicken. The mighty alpha predator is now a tiny caged animal living a fraction of its natural lifespan in horrific conditions. 9 out of the 12 New York police officers who saw this video have been suicided. The other 3 are in hiding, but multiple copies of this video have been disseminated. A sanitized but still graphic and disturbing version can be seen here. You can see why the KM are fighting for their lives. Our CIA sources say the Azov Battalion Satanists hold out at the steel plant in Mariupol are fighting to the death because they know they will be killed as soon as the harvesting facilities there are exposed. We have also been told that similar facilities to torture children are to be found worldwide, including in the underground tunnels beneath Disneyland, Florida. Disneyland also regularly sent tour boats full of children to Epstein Island in the Caribbean, many of whom never returned. The sources say the movie Monsters, Inc., which describes fuel being harvested. We contacted the media relations department at Disney to ask for comment but did not get a reply by the time this report went live. However, in what may be just a coincidence, Disney communications chief, Jeff Morrell just resigned after only 3 months on the job. CNBC obtained a copy of Morrell's resignation letter, where he stated, "After 3 months in this new role, it has become clear to me that for a number of reasons it is not the right fit. After talking this over with Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, I have decided to leave the company to pursue other opportunities." Deadline obtained an internal memo from Chapek to the Disney staff where he announced Morrell's departure, while conspicuously not praising his work or wishing him good luck in future endeavors. Fortunately, the strength and experience of our existing leadership team, including relatively new all-star hires, means there is no shortage of talent to guide our reputation-driving functions, Chapek wrote. Chapek also named General Counsel Horacio Gutierrez as being in charge of the company's Government Relations and Global Public Policy Office, while Jenny Cohen, Executive Vice President for Corporate Social Responsibility, will now report directly to Chapek. I am incredibly confident in this team, and look forward to working with them and all of our leadership to set Disney's course for the next 100 years of extraordinary entertainment and experiences, Chapek concluded. Okay, so now let us look again at the state of the battle to liberate humanity from the KM. They may well try to produce a CG version of Harris to make it appear that all is normal. This is what Mossad sources say they did as avatars of Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi and a few other politicians just supposedly secretly visited Ukraine. A country under attack by one of the most powerful militaries in the world. Maybe they are trying to explain their absence in the US by saying, they are in Ukraine. Speaking about Ukraine, Secretary of the Russian Security Council Nikolai Patrushev warned Europeans that representatives of the criminal community that fled from Ukraine will attempt to occupy niches benefiting them, including drug and human trafficking. Watch out for your kids, folks. According to Nikolai Patrushev, the illegal spread of drugs, cross-border crimes, and the large-scale migration are among security threats. Moscow, April 26. TASS. Europe will see a deep economic and political crisis coming, and Europeans are already being affected by inflation growth and declining living standards, Secretary of the Russian Security Council Nikolai Patrushev said in an interview with the Rossiyskaya Gazeta newspaper. Europe will face a deep economic and political crisis for its countries. Growing inflation and the fall of living standards already affect budgets and moods of Europeans, Patrushev said. The large-scale migration complements old security threats, for example, the illegal spread of drugs and cross-border crimes, with new problems, the official noted. Representatives of the criminal community that fled from Ukraine will attempt to occupy niches benefiting them, put under control local criminal groups, which will be inevitably accompanied by aggravation of the crime situation in Europe, Patrushev added. Russia is also inviting U.S. officials, including Victoria, Fuck the EU, Nuland, to a parliamentary commission investigating the activity of U.S. biological laboratories in Ukraine. This means the KM-occupied U.S. has been caught in the act of trying to kill off most of humanity. Moscow, April 30. TASS. Russia will send an invitation to some American officials, including Under-Secretary of State Victoria Nuland, to a session of the Parliamentary Commission investigating the activity of U.S. biological laboratories in Ukraine. Director of the Foreign Ministry's Department for Non-Proliferation and Arms Control Vladimir Yermakov told TASS on Saturday. An invitation to American officials and representatives of companies who have relation to military biological activity being conducted in biolabs in Ukraine with the U.S. assistance is being prepared to be dispatched. In particular, there are plans to call Senior Under-Secretary of State Victoria Nuland as one of the witnesses to a session of the Parliamentary Commission of the Russian Federal Assembly investigating such activity, the high-ranking Russian diplomat said. The Chinese Foreign Ministry, reflecting the views of most of the world, publicly labels the U.S. as a rogue state acting in violation of international law. Many European countries agree and are distancing themselves from the KM-occupied U.S. That is why, in the latest sign that Russia is winning in its campaign to remove Satanists from the Ukraine, Poland, Italy, France, Germany and Bulgaria etc. were all forced to back down on their threat to cut off Russian gas money and have begun paying in rubles. Warsaw, April 26. Reuters. Russian energy giant Gazprom has told Poland and Bulgaria it will halt gas supplies from Wednesday, in a major escalation of Russia's broader row with the West over its invasion of Ukraine. Poland and Bulgaria would be the first countries to have their gas cut off by Europe's main supplier since Moscow started what it calls a military operation in Ukraine on Feb. 24. The move to cut off supplies also followed sanctions imposed by Warsaw against Russian individuals and companies. Russian President Vladimir Putin has demanded that countries he terms unfriendly agree to a scheme under which they would open accounts at Gazprombank and make payments for Russian gas imports in euros or dollars that would be converted into rubles. Last week, the European Commission said EU companies may be able to work around Russia's demand to receive gas payments in rubles without breaching sanctions if they pay in euros or dollars, which are then converted into the Russian currency. Poland is a staunch political opponent of Moscow. Polish gas company PGNiG, whose gas deal with Russia expires at the end of this year, has said it would not comply with the new scheme of payment and would not extend the contract. It also did not extend its gas transit deal with Gazprom in 2020. Since then, the Russian gas provider had to take part in auctions for pipeline capacity via the Yamal-Europe pipeline from Belarus to Poland. Poland's gas supply contract with Gazprom is for 10.2 billion cubic meters (BCM) per year, and covers about 50% of national consumption. Earlier, data from the European Union network of gas transmission operators showed physical gas flows via the Yamal-Europe route had halted, but they resumed later on Tuesday. Poland's energy supplies are secure, its climate ministry said, adding that there was no need to draw from gas reserves and that gas to consumers would not be cut. Gazprom also informed Bulgarian state gas company Bulgargaz it will halt gas supplies from Wednesday, the energy ministry said. Bulgaria also had a contract due to expire at the end of the year. It meets over 90% of its gas needs with Gazprom's imports at around 3 bcm a year. Tom Marzik-Mansur, head of gas analytics at data intelligence firm ICIS, said, "This is a seismic warning shot by Russia." Poland has had an anti-Russia and anti-Gazprom stance for a number of years, which is not the case for Bulgaria, so to see Bulgaria also be cut off is also quite a development in its own right, he added. Poland said it can source gas via 2 links with Germany, including a reverse flow on the Yamal pipeline, a link with Lithuania with an annual capacity of 2.5 bcm that will open on May 1 and via an interconnector with the Czech Republic for up to 1.5 bcm. Another 5 to 6 bcm could be shipped via a link with Slovakia to be opened later this year. In addition, PGNiG can import up to 6 bcm per year via the LNG terminal in Świnoujście on the Baltic Sea, and it produces more than 3 bcm of gas per year locally in Poland. In October, a pipeline allowing up to 10 bcm of gas per year to flow between Poland and Norway will be opened. Government officials said Poland's gas storage of 3.5 bcm is 76% full and it will not have to cut supplies to customers to cope with Gazprom supply halt. Meanwhile, Bulgaria said it has taken steps to find alternative gas supply and no restrictions on gas consumption was required for now. Analysts at investment bank Jefferies said the cut-off warning increases the risk of other early terminations for other European contracts due to expire by the year-end, amounting to nearly 12 bcm a year. Only a few Russian gas buyers, such as Hungary and Uniper, Germany's main importer of Russian gas, have said it would be possible to pay for future supplies under the scheme announced by Moscow without breaching European Union sanctions. Germany's network regulator said it was monitoring the gas delivery situation from Russia after the threat to Poland's supplies, adding that supply to Germany was currently guaranteed. PGNiG said on Tuesday it would take steps to reinstate the flow of gas according to the Yamal contract and that any halt of supplies was a breach of that contract, adding that it has the right to pursue damages over breach of contract. Earlier on Tuesday, Poland announced a list of 50 Russian oligarchs and companies, including Gazprom, that would be subject to sanctions under a law passed earlier this month allowing their assets to be frozen. The law is separate from sanctions imposed jointly by EU countries. Gas traders said the Dutch gas market, the European benchmark, moved up near the end of trade on Tuesday. The front-month Dutch gas contract settled around 5.4% higher at €98.20 per megawatt-hour. Germany says Russian euro account won't violate EU gas rules. Ministry says payments must continue to be in euros dollars. Putin has demanded that gas contracts are settled in rubles. German utility Uniper SE wouldn't breach European Union guidelines if it opened an account in euros in Russia to pay for gas, according to a spokesman for the Economy Ministry in Berlin. For us, the account number doesn't matter, or the question of whether 1 or 2 accounts are opened in one place, spokesman Stefan Hoff said Friday at a regular news conference. For us, it matters whether the payment happens in euros and dollars, as it is laid out in the contracts, he added. President Vladimir Putin has decreed that buyers set up 2 accounts with Gazprombank, one in a foreign currency and another in rubles, and the Russian lender would convert the payments into the local currency. The EU said last week the arrangement would be a breach of sanctions on Russia, though it also left the door open to exemptions. Officials explicitly said that opening a ruble account at Gazprombank would violate EU sanctions. Why Putin's demand for rubles has Europe scrambling? Quick take. Uniper has said it's examining the option of paying for Russian gas in euros into an account in Russia rather than in Europe. The German utility believes that there could be a solution to the question of how the funds could then be converted into rubles. The European Commission said opening an account in euros would be in line with the EU rules as long as the company declares the payment complete after the euro funds clear. Slovakia cast some doubt on that on Friday, saying Gazprombank automatically opened new accounts in euros and rubles for European importers, and to activate them, it's demanding consent for the Russian central bank to convert currencies. That could breach EU sanctions. Gazprom PJSC halted gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria on Wednesday, making good on a threat to cut supplies if payments aren't made in rubles. German Economy Minister Robert Habeck warned that the risk of more cutoffs must be taken seriously. It's still not clear how Russia will react if companies pay in euros, he added. We are also seeing a big split in the ranks of the ruling oligarchy in the U.S. Elon Musk of Tesla has apparently gotten off the fence and is now openly supporting the White Hats. This is significant because Musk is the son of a prominent Nazi.